I see it on every street corner. I have no idea, from city to city, town to town, how representative this is to your life. I can just say that between Los Angeles and Eugene, Oregon, where I live, it's a crisis, folks, is what it is. Do you see all those people on the street corners? Do you see all those people holding signs? Do you see how stretched, the city services are to help people who are falling out of the middle class into poverty? Do you see how little we do for the poverty question? Do you see how low on the totem pole it is in terms of a political concern for either party? This is a growing, horrible problem in the United States of America that you may think is not going to affect you because you're doing okay and you're one of the hardworking people who went ahead and got yourself an education and put time into a career and you saved your money and all that. So you're going to be fine. And those other people, had they done a better job of preparing for life and everything, wouldn't be in this mess. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. You're attached to those people more than you think you are. Where's the consumer spending numbers, which is going to increase all of our prosperity back to, levels where we're all making some money, right? Where is the consumer spending? The consumer spending is a function of prosperity amongst your people. And we have gone down on the prosperity level, and we are continuing to drop. And it is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. And we're talking about man-made political problems that will go away in a week. And the only thing I hear about these people who are suffering so badly right now comes from people who want to make them suffer more. What is this cutting off of food stamps you hear from the government and the Republicans? This is more of a Republican thing, let's be honest here. The cutting off of food stamps, and you'll hear them say something like, more people are using food stamps under Obama, blah, blah, blah. And you want to say, wait a minute. People are using food stamps because they aren't making enough money. The problem is that our people are not making enough money, not that they're forced to use food stamps because they don't have enough money. And what's interesting is to hear the two Democrat and Republican standard lines about this, because they both are just flawed. The Democrats will say things like, well, you need to get these people into job training programs and re-technify them and all these kind of things. And the Republicans will say things like, well, look, these people have cell phones. And they have satellite. I mean, the poor now isn't what poor used to be. These people aren't starving on the street. And a lot of them have made their choices and ended up where they end up and this and that and the other thing. And folks, to me, that's a very easy way to say we don't have to care about the poor people. And not caring about the poor people is going to bite us all in the ass. You're going to have a poorer country. And that's not good for any of us. Do you remember that infamous Citigroup notice to investors? I think it was taken off the internet, but people have saved it, and you can find copies of it. Basically, several years ago now, in trying to figure out how to organize their investments, and we've talked about this before, so my apologies if you've heard me bring it up, but we talked about this internal Citigroup memo where they were explaining that the financial trends were changing, especially in the developed countries and especially in the United States. And that the idea of a giant sort of bell curve, middle-income society was going away, and that the trends were that most of those people were bleeding down into the lower level, but you were ending up with a growing super-rich category, and it's the famous I think that plutocracy is the way I've always said it. I think it's Plutonomy, they said in the Citigroup memo, if I recall, because I remember going Plutonomy. But the idea was, they weren't making a value judgment at Citigroup about it. They weren't saying this is good or this is bad. They were simply going, okay, when organizing your investment portfolio, bear in mind that these are the current trends. And basically they were saying that the global economy would still be okay because there'd still be a lot of spending on luxuries and consumer goods and stuff. But the spending would come from that 1% group. It wouldn't come from the giant bell curve middle-class consumer the way it always had. So just changing trends to be noticed. As we move into a Plutonomy, you will want to alter your investment strategies. I'd like to see government focus on us not moving into a Plutonomy.